Hey everyone, it's James. It is May 20th, about 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's the 4-hour chart of Bitcoin, BTC, USD on the Bitfinex exchange. And first of all, I want to say this is not investment advice. Second of all, I like to just say that we are at a very subtle increase in slope on price. And you can see that by connecting the 6,000 to 6,400 bottom, right? We see the nice subtle increase. So we're seeing possibly the beginnings of a bull market. Now, as long as we can maintain this slope, we should continue to churn up, but understand it's going to take longer. And now for people that do not believe that it's going to take longer, right? So let me kind of break this down real fast. Bubble phase, right? This is over. This is over, not to happen again. We may have like a smaller version of this happen at some point, but this wild and crazy move that we saw from the past back in here, this is over. This is the bubble phase. This is the return to normalization. Nobody's going to want to talk about this, right? And everybody wants to hype it up, especially on the YouTubes. So let's break it down. Box 1, bubble phase. Box 2, the reaction. Box 3, the current stage of normalization. Look at the different boxes. What do you see? You see price getting more elongated to the right, okay? Meaning it's going to take longer for price to work itself up to the 11,700 zone, to this roughly 13,000 zone, 17,000, 20,000, and whatever magical unicorn numbers we want to come up with beyond that. But one thing I can say for absolute certain, and I can guarantee you with a 100% certainty, if we do not break above 9,990 on Bitfinex, which on some of the other exchanges start to kind of peak into the 10,000 zone, then we are not going to go higher, right? We have to bust through that key zone to go any higher, to put in a higher high, and then obviously confirm this is a higher low. So if you've been watching my videos and following along, you know I talked about a corrective move incoming. Nobody wanted to believe me. I swear, like, especially once we started getting here, holy crap, man. I swear, like, I could just feel the people, like, wanting to strangle me, saying, you don't know what you're talking about. There's no corrective move, you know? And so we made the corrective move. Now, this is just a 50% retracement in price. So, yes, this is a normal, healthy corrective move to a market. The question is, do we put in another high above that key zone I just told you? If we do not, we'll form a high, pullback, a reaction, which is weak, and then a continuation down, high, pullback, reaction, weak, down, right? I'm hoping we do not repeat the same pattern, although we're starting to change slightly. But understand that if we do not reach that 9,990 and we start to curl over somewhere around in this zone, hypothetically speaking, then we would move back down, and the next safety net for price is going to be somewhere around the 6,900 to 7,000 range, depending on where we move into time and space over here, okay? So hopefully that all makes sense to everybody. I'm trying to break it down as basic as I possibly can so everybody can kind of follow along here. And I don't say that in like a demeaning way. I just understand that sometimes we could talk about like technical jargon and it can leave certain people behind, especially in a market that has attracted investors that this may be the first time, right? And something I definitely want to say to people is just understand the time element here. It's going to take longer. And nobody, I pretty much guarantee that nobody on YouTube is going to talk about this unless maybe they watch my video and decide to talk about it. It's going to take longer. There's going to be more time needed for price to work itself back up into the future, okay? That is the whole premise of normalization. It's time to rebuild, right? The structure got built. We realized we built it way too tall. It toppled over. Now we're rebuilding with a solid foundation for price to work off of and potentially go into a longer bull run than what we previously had, okay? So, and all the bull run is just a series of higher highs and higher lows for anybody that doesn't know what I'm talking about. But so far, everything is starting to look good in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market, okay? But one thing I definitely want to talk about too is the hype. And the hype out there is absolutely unreal. And I know I'm going to talk about this and people are going to get pissed off about it, or people are going to ignore it and they're not going to listen to it. But I'm telling you, the hype out there is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Especially when you start having people that had a significant position in life, right? When you start talking about like McAfee and others that have these, high roles in life, like they've become role models to people where they look up to these people and they start spewing out crazy numbers like $1 million or 2 million or whatever, the crazy numbers are. But understand that like this phase right here is over. This is the bubble phase. This is the hype phase. They're trying to rehype the market, and we've seen it multiple times, right? I don't know if I talked about it with everybody on YouTube, but I definitely talked about it with my subscribers, where CNBC and some of the other media outlets were talking about Bitcoin and hyping it up, talking about how it broke a mega downtrend and it's ready to launch the moon, etc. All this crap, and that definitely made it harder for people to think that there was going to be a corrective move. But anyways, there was. And the hype is real, and they're out there and they're trying to hype this thing up beyond belief in many cases. It does not mean the market is going the opposite way. It does not mean that, the market's going to do absolutely nothing and just travel horizontally for the rest of its life. But the point is don't get caught up in the hype, right? Make logical decisions. And the way you can do that, right? Let me just kind of help everybody out here because I've been doing this for over 10 years. This is it, right? You start looking at a chart like this and tell me how you feel right now, right? You can probably look at it and be like, okay, we're making small moves up and down. I can have a clearer understanding of what the market has memory for. This is what the market has memory for. Now let's start getting back into here. Now you start looking at a chart like this, right? Now your emotions start running high because you're like, oh man, if I can just buy here, if I just sell my house, sell my car, sell my dog, sell my clothes, blah, 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 I'm going to buy here and I'm going to be a trillionaire as we come back up into here. I know it for a fact because if price was here one time, it has to go back one more time, especially if everybody else is talking about it, right? That's exactly what's running through people's heads. And you can deny it, and people are not going to listen to this, and people are going to dislike the video because I am going to be the only person talking about this, that it's going to lead to some really stupid decisions, getting caught up in the hype, right? And I know I'm going to say it, and nobody's, and people are barely going to listen to it, or you're going to listen to it, and you're going to completely forget about it because price is going to make a wiggle like it just did, and everyone's going to get hyped up. Right? And they're, oh my God, it's going to 20,000. I know for a fact. I'm calling my grandma right now, telling her to dump her, retirement account completely into it. It's going to the moon because that's what the hype is, right? But you start looking at the chart like this, okay? We build our structure from the past to project the future and to trade based on that. But we start zooming in, and now we have a more level-headed understanding of what's happening in the market. Now we can clearly start to see some zones that price needs to break. First, we need to break this before we start talking about the unicorn numbers, right? We need to break this before we even start talking about 6,900, 6,000, or whatever ridiculous low number people are talking about too. So there's unicorns on both sides of the market. But let's just kind of hone it in. Kind of relax, Don't get freaked out over this market. A lot of people are getting freaked out. I see the comments every day. I can see the dislikes, and people are just like, you don't know what you're talking about. We're not going to have a correction. We're going to the moon. And it doesn't do that. So the point is, at the end of the day, remove the hype. Focus on the numbers I'm providing to you. They've been working very well. These simple lines, when you know how to read them, can make a huge difference, right? You don't need all the crazy indicators and stuff like that. My trading charts do get more complicated, but like I said, this is not investment advice. This is just for educational purposes. And I know it benefits a lot of people out there, and that's why I continue to do these videos on a daily basis. And I've helped a lot of people out, and honestly, that's all I hope to do. It's not about getting up here and being right every time I put out a YouTube video. But the point is that if you can save somebody from the hype and from making a stupid decision based on that hype, right? It's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. And I've saved people I've had countless comments of people that have been able to save significant amount of money because I was the only person not blowing smoke up their rear, right? That's what sells. The smoke up the rear sells. People want to get hyped. People want to get hyped. They like are masochists. They're like, please butcher me. Like that's like they just offer themselves for the sacrifice. And that's what you see here, and that's why you see the media do the things they do, is because they know a majority of traders want to be the sacrificial lamb, and all of them do. They just all line up in a row and they just like pile in and they're just like, just kill me now, And that's exactly what we see, the butchering of people. And I knew once the hit piece came out, that's what I call them when the hype starts coming out, especially on the mainstream media. That's a hit piece. You better understand they got the crosshairs right on your head and they're ready to take you out because you are the small money in a big pond, and they know exactly what motivates you. And what motivates you are charts like this, right? And big giant numbers, like, right? Like I'm gonna pretend I'm like whatever it is, John McAfee or CNBC or something. This is Bitcoin, yeah, and like that's it. And I know I'm being facetious and I'm joking around, and I try to keep these videos, a little more professional than that. But, it's Sunday. We got a little more time. Just don't get caught up in the hype, okay? That's all. That's all I want to say at the end of the day. So hopefully you like the content. I gave everybody the numbers to look for. Everything looks good, from my perspective. I've been talking about this for the past few weeks now. I talked about the higher lows, the higher highs. Everything looks good, like we're entering into a bull market. Talked about a corrective move, got the corrective move, and now we're going back up, right? So I thank you for your time. I thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe, follow. If you haven't joined the Slack channel, go ahead and join that. There's over 300 and something members there. It's absolutely free. Everybody shares their analysis, opinions, news, etc. It's just a really nice, friendly environment to be a part of. If you do have questions, you can post them down below. If I do get time, I will get back to you as quick as I possibly can. But I understand I do run a business, and then I run the subscription side. And we've been doing very well. I've been very blessed with that side and with the people that I've attracted on both the free side through my YouTube channel, social media outlets, and through the subscription side. It's all been extremely well, and I'm very blessed to be a part of such a nice community. And I think it's because I'm putting forth this education to really help people. And if you do listen to the message, there's a lot you can take away, right? There's a lot you can take away. And I try to leave the hype out because that's not what I'm a part of. I couldn't sleep with myself if I did that. But if you want to join the Slack channel, go to geometriccharts.com. At the bottom, there's the link to the Slack channel. There's the link to my social media accounts. And then it also talks about my subscription service. I cover Bitcoin, other cryptos, stock market, commodities, and Forex. I do videos in the morning and at night. Sometimes I'll do 3 videos a day depending on what's happening in the market. But on average, about 2 videos a day per asset class, and then updated charts and information depending on what's happening throughout the day. So I'm always kind of attached to that, and that does take a lot of time, especially when you're in a cryptocurrency market that trades 24/7. So again, I hope everybody has a great night, great day, depending on where you are in the world, and I'll talk to everybody tomorrow.